Main point I need to make. Because aside from the negativity and the random ridiculousness in our culture, believe it or not, Jesus says there are some good things that have either happened already or are getting ready to happen in your life that for the moment you gotta keep to yourself. This message is gonna mess with some of us because we're not used to holding good things in. We're used to sharing. We're used to posting. We're used to telling anybody that will listen. But in certain areas of your life, God told me to tell you, even the good stuff, keep it to yourself. This word is for somebody. I don't know who it is, but God sent you to this service because he wants you to keep it to yourself. This word is for you. A while back, I shared with you all how when I was a little boy, my home church gave my sisters and I Bibles as a Christmas gift. The year was about 1984. And at the time, I had not yet learned how to read. I was about maybe 4, almost 5, I can imagine. But in spite of my youthful illiteracy, I found myself, brethren, fascinated by the first few chapters of Matthew. Understand, it really wasn't that deep, but even as a child, I was drawn to chapters 5 through 7. If for no other reason than the fact that those pages were all red. Yeah, there was something, Sister Harris, about those red pages. This uninterrupted dialogue between Jesus and his disciples. Again, at the time, I could not read, I could not understand, but there was something about those red pages that captured my 4-year-old attention. It captivated me even as an illiterate youth. And now I have come to understand that those pages, those words, that dialogue was known as the Sermon on the Mount. In the Sermon on the Mount, ladies and gentlemen, we find a plethora of passages and parables in which Jesus gives the platform and the purpose for those that would be his disciples. He says, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that sits on a hill cannot be hid." He says, "Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its savor, then wherewith shall the world be salted?" He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." I wish I had a Bible reading here. "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." And then he switches from peace all the way to persecution. He said, "Blessed are you when you are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are you when folks shall revile you. Blessed are you when folk throw dirt on your name." I wish I had some help here. "Blessed are you when they persecute you. Blessed are you when they say all manner of evil against you." Jesus said, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, because your daddy's got a reward waiting for you." And so you go through this series of many sermons. And the verse that I was led to, honestly, is one that I've never looked at. A few weeks ago, I preached from verse number 7, "Seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be opened, ask for what you want and God will give it to you if it's in his will." I've always known verse number 7, but honestly, I've never looked at verse number 6. And so God nudged me the other day. And he said, look at that one verse, because the Bible is a living book. Have I got a witness here? Just when you think you know it all, just when you think you've got it all, just when you think you have understood all there is to know about God's word, you cannot understand verse number 6 until you read verses 1 through 5. Jesus said, judge not, that ye be not judged. And what the young people learned over the weekend, and what you have learned in previous messages, is that to judge means to condemn someone. By now, we ought to know that none of us are qualified to judge anybody. None of us are qualified to condemn anyone, because to judge means to impose sentence on somebody. And as much as some folk around here would love to be the prosecutor and the jury and the bailiff and the judge and the stenographer, don't you know the truth of the matter is nobody here is even qualified to be in the courtroom. Somebody ought to help me preach at 9:30. Jesus says, how can you give commentary about somebody else's mess when the mess in your life has yet to be worked out? I wish I had a witness here. Isn't it funny how some people can find a toothpick in your eye but can't seem to see the 2x4 that's hanging out in their own eye? Isn't it funny how your neighbor can see that piece of tissue that's in your yard but they can't see the garbage bags that's overflowing in their own yard? How is it that folk can talk about other people's grass when you got weeds growing up to the window at your own house? When it comes to the judgment of others, Jesus says, keep it to yourself. I wish y'all would take the brakes off me this morning. When it comes to what you think about other folk and what you think about what they've done, what you think about where they are in life, Jesus says you cannot judge because you are not qualified. The way some folk, not you, but your neighbor, the way some folk go around talking about other folk, what you heard, what you saw, what you read, what they told you, it does not matter how you feel about people or what they did. Tell somebody around you, keep it to yourself. See how we can turn from shout to silent? When I come to church, I don't want to hear the latest gossip in the Chapel Times. I wish I had some help in here. If it ain't about Jesus, keep it to yourself. If it's not good news, keep it to yourself. If it's gossip, keep it to yourself. If it's that mess from that ministry, keep it to yourself. If it's about who like who, keep that to yourself. I'm too old for that. If it's about who cute and who tried to holler, if it ain't about getting me to another level in God, if it ain't helping me get where God want me to be, you ought to just slap 3 people around and tell them, keep it to yourself. Don't slap them, slap them. Y'all get excited. Pastor saying slap somebody. Tell them keep it to yourself. And since I got you here, I may as well talk to some of these thirsty, attention-seeking internet stalkers. The problem with the invention of the send button is that everybody got one. And so now any idiot with an opinion can get just as much press as a 4-year journalism student. The problem with the internet is that there is no filter for the foolishness. And so some of that stuff that y'all are putting out there, I really wish you would keep it to yourself. I wish I had some help here. Some of your random thoughts, you need to keep that to yourself. Some of these ridiculous rants you go on, keep it to yourself. Your relationship drama, keep it to yourself. Changing your status every 3 weeks. First is good, then we engage. Now it's complicated. Keep it to yourself. All of this subliminal hostility, keep it to yourself. All these workplace complaints, I hate this job. I can't stand these folks. Ain't nothing but the devil in here. Some of y'all gonna miss your opportunity because as soon as you leave the interview, your potential boss is Googling you. Do I have a few witnesses here? Much as I'd like to hear out there, believe it or not, that's not the main point I need to make. Because aside from the negativity and the random ridiculousness in our culture, believe it or not, Jesus says there are some good things that have either happened already or are getting ready to happen in your life that for the moment you got to keep to yourself. This message is going to mess with some of us because we're not used to holding good things in. We're used to sharing. We're used to posting. We're used to telling anybody that will listen. But in certain areas of your life, God told me to tell you, even the good stuff, keep it to yourself. Watch this. He says, give not that which is holy to the dogs. And cast not your pearls before the swine. So much preaching, so little time. Listen, when it comes to your journey towards discipleship, hear me, as you mature from fan to follower, God says, even when it comes to the good things in your life, you'll discover you can't tell everything to everybody. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to help you in here. God said, even with the good stuff, you got to be selective about the folk you shared with. Can I teach for a little while? I promise I'm going to shut it down if you let me. In context, Jesus is talking to his disciples. And he's already warned them that some people are not going to receive them with open arms. So in that context, he's saying, don't bother trying to convince people that won't receive the gospel. These people like the Pharisees and the Sadducees that y'all were reading about in Bible study, understand, Jesus said that a harlot will go to heaven before some of them folk go to heaven. Some people will never receive Jesus no matter what you say. And all the time you trying to convince them that sin is sin and that wrong is wrong. Jesus said, don't waste your time trying to sell water to a Negro that ain't thirsty. Y'all feel what I'm saying here? That's why, personally, I don't waste my time writing letters to Congress. That's why I'm not quick to march up to the Capitol trying to preach to politicians. Because what the Lord revealed to me, I don't mean no harm. Some of them going to hell anyhow. See how quiet it gets right up? Y'all must work for the state. I said some of them are going to hell anyhow. And just a few more risings and settings of the sun, America is going to have to acknowledge God whether we want to or not. You can deny him all you want, but he is still God. You can act like the Bible is a book of suggestions if you want to. God means what he says. God is not a man that he should lie. He's not the son of man that he should repent. If he said it, you can count on it. And if it ain't happened yet, tell your neighbor, wait for it. That's what Jesus meant in context. But subsequently, there's some leftovers that you and I can take home. When it comes to who you are as a Christian, remember, God called you holy. He said, be holy because I'm holy. God called you sanctified. And so what that means is that when it comes to you as a Christian, to be holy means to be set apart. Apart from the world. apart from what they do and how they do it. So when you come up on these people who try to get you to compromise, I don't care if you're young or if you're seasoned in this room today. God told me to tell you, beware of the dogs. Have you gotten to a point where you recognize that you are holy? Understand, I didn't say holier than thou. But have you gotten to the point where you recognize that everything about you is holy? Come in. My space is holy. So everybody can't be in it. Somebody ought to give me some help here. My house is holy, so everybody can't drop by. My car is holy, so everybody can't ride. My body, is holy, so everybody can't have access. My mind is holy, so you don't allow dogs to sample what is sacred. I want to hang out there, but I can't. I got to move on. God said, come out from them. Because there are certain parts of your life that you ought to keep to yourself. Everybody can't have your number. I said, everybody can't have your number. And you ought to be selective about who gets it. And you know what? After a few years, if folks start acting strange, I'll change my number. I don't know if the person is here today, but somebody rolled up on me last Sunday. Because the Sunday before that, they come out, I need to talk to you, and I need to do that, I need to do that. Is there a good number that I can get, that I can reach you? I said, sure, 574-3150. And so I guess they called that number and didn't get the response they wanted, so they rolled up on me last Sunday, talking about, so I can't get your number? I said, Negro, I don't know you. And I don't owe you my cell phone number. See how quiet it gets right up in there? Because see, you think you're entitled to certain things. You think that folk just got to be available to you 24/7. I got a life. You hear me? I got stuff to do. I might want to go to sleep every now and then. I might be in the bathroom at the moment. I don't owe you my number. You call the church and we'll get back with you. Tell your neighbor, he don't owe you that. He don't owe you that. I messed up and called somebody from my home phone one time and forgot to block my number, and them jokers been calling ever since. Oh. Everybody can't share your space. Because your space is holy. Everybody can't spend the night or the day at your house. Have I got a witness here? Everybody can't be your friend. Everybody can't be your road dog. So whenever the dogs come sniffing around, you got to learn how to keep it to yourself. Come here. The mistakes that you made in the past, don't you dare share all of that with everybody. Everybody can't handle you being human because they will hold that stuff over your head for the rest of your life. Your real personality, you better keep that to yourself. The stuff you did 5 years ago, you better keep that to yourself. Them habits you struggle with, keep it to yourself. Your insecurities, your weaknesses, just because people scratch at the door, don't mean you got to let them in. Tell your neighbor, keep it to yourself. How many times have you opened up to somebody, thought that you could trust them, and the next thing you know, your business is on blast all over the community? How many times have you told somebody something that was going on with you, and before the benediction, it was already on the other end of the sanctuary? People these days will take screenshots of your foolishness and will share it with the entire world. I wish I had some honest folk in here who have learned how to keep it to yourself. Oh, he preaching. I see the look on some of your faces. Because back there in the nosebleeds, you're worried about what the dogs are going to say. Don't worry, I got them. Can I tell you what you can say to the dogs? You think you better than us now? You can't. No, listen. I'm not conceited. I'm just careful. I'm not sedity. I'm just selective. I'm not bougie. I'm just choosy. I'm not mean. I just ain't got time for no mess. I'm not stuck up. I just got high standards. God brought me too far for me to turn around now. God been too good to me for me to compromise now. So whoever got something to say, do me a favor and keep it to yourself. I'm done now. I still boss. But there's something to be said about knowing when to speak and when to keep quiet. See, Jesus said, you can't cast, this is where I've been trying to get to. Don't cast your pearls before swine. And it's a little different than the way you deal with the dogs, because see, with the dogs, understand, he says, don't give it to the dogs. That's specific. But then don't cast it to the swine. What's the difference? Look at it again. When you give away something, it goes from you to them. But when you cast out something, you throw it out there for everybody to see. Don't miss this. This is the good part here. Jesus said, don't cast your pearls before swine. He's telling you, don't tell your dreams, your ideas, your goals, your visions, the stuff that God has laid in your heart. You need to treat it like a precious pearl. The worst thing you can do in your process of becoming is let too many people in on the stuff that God is showing you. I'm not talking about your dirt. I ain't talking about your past. I ain't talking about your mistakes. I'm talking about the good things that the Lord has placed in your heart. I'm talking to the one that wakes up at 2 a.m. with ideas in your mind. I'm talking to the one that just writes stuff down all the time and you really don't know what you're going to do with it. You just know that God gave it to you and you got to hold it for a while. I'm talking to the one that's looking at where you are and saying, I know this ain't it right here. I know I love Tallahassee, but this ain't it for me. I realize this is a stop for me. I realize my purpose is elsewhere. God told me to tell you, keep that for now to yourself. Anybody here know about dream killers? Anybody here know about folk that will talk down your dream before you ever give birth to it? I don't know why you want to do that. That just don't sound like a good idea to me. I just don't know. Last person tried that. That didn't go too well. I don't know. You got the money to do that? You sure you're going to have the money to do that? You sure you're going to have the means of support to do that? There's some stuff you need to learn. Keep to yourself. Because they don't know how precious that pearl is. This stuff I'm talking about, it ain't gonna just bless you, it's gonna bless everybody around you. This idea you got is big. The dream you got is ridiculous. The vision God gave you ain't even for you. He gonna use you to open up doors for other people. But for right now, God says, keep it to yourself. That's why I'm learning. You gotta be careful who you ask to pray for you. My God, help me in here. It's going to take some faith for this thing to happen the way God wants it to. So if you just a fan, I can't talk to you about what God is saying to me, because this is for followers. This vision is for people that have a faith connection with God. I can't talk to every member about the future of this church. I can't talk to every leader, because some of my leaders still aren't at the point where they can trust God for the impossible. I wish I had everybody on the team. I wish everybody could understand it. But there's some folk you just have to keep it general with. There's some folk you can't talk too far in the future. Oh, now you need to slow down now. You're doing too much now. I don't know about this here. We ain't never done this before. You can't talk to them kind of people, because God's got a way of speaking things that are not as though they already are. God's got a way of talking to you about stuff you ain't got the money for, stuff you ain't got the land for, stuff you don't know how it's gonna come. But because God said it, I gotta believe it. But for now, I'm gonna keep it to myself. am shocked and amazed at the stuff people panic about around here. We ain't seen God do enough by now to where we can't trust where he's leading us. We panicking because something seems to be too big or too complicated, too much detail, too much involvement, too much required from you. And so we can't do it because you too sorry to do it. So let me get this straight. God's work can't get done because you don't feel like it. We got to hold up progress for 5,000 folks because 5 people can't see it. We got to stop the move of God for what folk doing around here because we want to hold on to what us did before you got here. See how quiet it gets up in there? I've learned as the pastor of this church, because I'm very verbose. I'm very loquacious. Translation, I talk a lot. And so I'm learning that I got to keep silent about certain things because folk will kill dreams before they ever come to fruition. I got to talk to some folk who know that God is speaking to you. It almost scares you when you think about it. It knocks you off your feet. I'm closing now. When God says it to you, God told me to tell you, keep what he's saying to yourself right now because you should never lay your pearls in front of pigs. If you think I've been acting funny lately, I probably have. But don't mind me. I'm just keeping it to myself. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Fact about it, everything is going right for a change. So I can't spoil what God has planned for me by telling it to the wrong people. Y'all will help me close this, won't you? You got to hold your peace for now. You got to bite your tongue for now. You got to resist that urge to push sin for now. Stop getting on Facebook for right now. Put a muzzle on social media for right now because eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what the Lord has in store for his people. There's some things that God has put in you through now. But you got to hold your peace until God fights the battle. Don't give what's holy to the dogs. And don't give your precious pearls to the pigs. Some stuff you got to learn how to keep to yourself because you are holy. And what God gave you is holy. Don't give your treasure to trashy people. They call it a smartphone, but you keep talking to dumb people. So either the phone isn't smart or the one using it ain't smart. Wish I had some help in here. Don't give your treasure to trashy people. Because as I close, even Jesus had to be choosy. Even Jesus had to be selective, about how he talked about the kingdom. Jesus had a purpose that was given to him before the very foundation of the world. But then he learned, how to keep some things to himself. And he learned that there is a time and a place for everything. And all things will come not in your time, but in due time. And so he says that I know what my purpose is. And I know, that I've been chosen by my Father. But he says every appointment from God does not always mean you got to give an announcement to man.